Hello, hello, and welcome, welcome. You are in the right place because if you're seeing Let's Talk Fabulous and you see my name and Tamara L. Hunter Productions, you're in the right place on a Sunday. Love it, love it, love it. Every time I come on every Sunday, I just love to share the wealth when it comes to different topics, especially when it comes to positive. And we need a lot of that in this world right now. If anybody, I know myself, I'm seeing a lot of things going. Well, we all seeing and hearing a lot of things going on in the world right now. And when we can come together as a panel today and discuss the things the tools that are needed right now. Yeah, I'm on my little soapbox right now to move the needle, to make things unified, And this one topic we're going to talk today, because it was World Kindness Day on this past Monday, I decided to make this topic the ripple of kindness. What is the ripple of kindness in your life? Have it been rippling through in your area, in your loved ones, in your work, just around the world, period? So we have some wonderful panelists coming on today because we're going to be talking about that, giving tips, giving stories, just really having some fun with it. And I always say, what do I say? Pen, paper, write those notes down because you're going to get some powerful, powerful messages from these wonderful panelists, and we'll be right back.
Hi.
Hey guys, how are we doing today? Looks like Barbara might be locked up on the other side.
Yes, I noticed that.
Oh, there she is.
Hey there, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday.
Hi,
Nichole. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can now.
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
I just love technology. So what we're going to do, first of all, welcome my wonderful panelists. Love them dearly. They have my back. They have my back when things go wrong. And I'm going to say it right now. If I start to go like off or just disappear, I'm going to let Nichole and Mike take it over.
You got it. All right. We got you.
You see, you gotta have a backup plan.
That's right. You need a backup plan.
So thank you, first of all, the kindness of each and every panelist here to come on. They heard my call because I always ask every week or every other week, I ask for wonderful, dynamic experts to come on when we're talking about different topics. And each and every one of these people have been kind to me, have been kind to others in the world. And I know they have that ripple effect and they understand it. So before we even get into, the act of kindness, the ripple, all that kind of stuff, I want you to meet them because you heard them, but you don't know them just yet. So we're going to start from top to bottom. I'm going to go to Nichole first and then from there.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Barbara. Always a pleasure to see you, my queen, my beautiful queen. I love your energy. Talk about ripple effect. This is such a great topic for Barbara because she is exactly that. That's why we're here, because of you and your energy and the things that you bring. So I am Nichole Banks. I'm a life coach for women. I'm also a podcast host of the Nichole Banks podcast. And one of the things that I get really excited about is just first and foremost is being able to see that ripple effect. If people ask me what my addiction is, because everybody's got a vice in life, I'm addicted to the ripple. So thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait for this discussion to start.
Oh, I love that. Addicted to the ripple. So next, Mr. Mike.
Hey, my name is Mike Phillips, and I'm super excited to be here. Barbara and I have been connected just recently. I've had a lot of opportunity to chat with her. When she said, hey, you want to come on the show? Absolutely, because I love her energy, and I imagine the people that are in your circle, Barbara, are just as energetic and excited. So I'm stoked to be here. I'm a leadership educator and motivational speaker, and also a podcast host of my podcast, The Leadership Toolkit, where I interview folks and from different verticals of business to be able to grow others and grow themselves and then grow other people around them. So stoked to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. He's the king today. He's one of the kings in the group because all the ladies are queens. He's representing the kings. Okay, Ms. Nina.
Hello. I am also happy to be here with Miss Barbara Beckley, the Queen. She and I became acquainted through another program where both of us are speakers. And it's just a delight to be here today and to have an opportunity to talk about kindness and how kindness is something that not only we focus our energy to for ourselves, but we also look around us and identify ways that we can express kindness. And in doing it, we see that they can have a ripple effect and impact our families, our communities, and our world. So I'm looking forward to the discussion today.
Awesome, awesome. She's already getting in the good stuff there. I love it. And Mrs. Coach Michelle Jackson.
Hi there, everyone. Hello, Barbara. Thank you so much for having this topic, this discussion. I'm so excited and so thankful for you and your platform. I think that kindness is king, and I show up as one of the queens, right? Because kindness and love are they should be twins. I am a certified life and transformational healing coach and speaker, and I help women overcome trauma by using their voices through my podcast, through my networks, through my platforms, through my coaching and speaking. And I'm also a voiceover artist. So I'm so thankful for this topic, and I can't wait to dive in. Thanks again, Barbara.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Queen. And another wonderful queen.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Barbara, for having me on. So my name is AB. I am a pediatrician. I am a singer-songwriter, and I'm also a podcast host of the Fulfilled Musicpreneur podcast. Kindness is something that I have to decide to show in the pressures of working as a doctor when you're really stuck for time and there's a long list of patients waiting, and you really have to choose to find ways to be kind, but the ripple effects can be amazing. So yeah, I'm just really glad to talk about the different ways that we can choose to be kind and how that can have knock-on effects in our world today.
Thank you, AB. Queens and kings. See, I'm telling you already, you just hear just a little snippet of them, and I'm getting excited. That's why they're on here. I love them all. So with that said, we're going to get, before we get into talking about the ripple effect of kindness, there's something coming up this week, especially in the U.S. What is it? What holiday? What's everybody running around maybe getting food and doing those Friday specials, whatever. I think Target, they start theirs November 1st. It's Thanksgiving. Every store is trying to beat other stores. I'm noticing that right now. It's like, oh my God. So with that, we're going to give a little love to Thanksgiving, and then we'll be right back. I like that last one. He was really getting to the game, but that's what we do for our team and for what we watch the football. So that's part of it. So I want to wish, and our panel I know wants to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, whatever you're doing. If it's just, everybody talks about the food part, but it's really about coming together as family, coming together as friendship, just coming together in the world and just being thankful. They dedicate this one day, but I always say, just like the ripples of kindness, it should be every day. Not just every day, but every second of the day. I'm going to put it there. I want to put something out there to be like, dang, bro, every second, yeah, every second. You could be thankful all the time. I'm thankful for being here. I'm thankful for the guests. I'm thankful for Tamara. I mean, the list goes on. So yes, every second of the day. So with that said, let's pop into our ripple of kindness. So Pano, and anybody can go first. You can just, let's just jump on in. So I want to ask, how have you witnessed the ripple of kindness in your personal or professional life? And can you just share maybe a specific example and illustrate its impact? All right. Oh, here we go. There we go.
Okay. When I was a very young girl, something extremely exciting happened. I had the opportunity to be on television, and I was asked to come in my best attire for that occasion. And of course, when I arrived, I thought I was looking very pretty. However, one of the teachers looked at me and made me look more beautiful. And in doing that, I felt better about how I looked, and it impacted my self-esteem and helped me realize that there are things that we can do to improve ourselves. And that particular thought has stayed with me, throughout my life. So it was a very, very transformational kind of experience.
Wow, that still holds
That's
up, Toe,
awesome.
because you are beautiful. Mike, I'm gonna get you on.
Yeah. So one of the things that it's so interesting, we never know often. So sometimes we don't see the ripple effect.
Mhm.
And it's really great to be able to have that come back and impact us. But so often it's just like, I did a ripple effect of leadership at one point. It's like you throw a stone into a lake and it starts out really small, this little pinpoint, little bloop. And then all of a sudden it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And oftentimes we can't see how far the impact is. And so for myself, I do, I think, as you know, Barbara, a Monday morning devotional. And that's something that's very near and dear to me. And I share that to share my faith and help to set the tone for people for the week and so forth. But you never know who is on the other side, the receiving end of that camera and that conversation. And I had somebody call me out of the blue. He's now in Florida. He was in Georgia for a long time connection, just connected on different things, but literally called me out of the blue and just says, "Hey man, I wanted to tell you what a difference you made to me." He says, "You helped me find my faith." And he says, "For what you do in the mornings," he says, "I just really appreciate it." And so for me, it's one of those, sometimes we don't know who we're reaching. We all have this voice and we put it out there and we're deliberate with what we're sharing with people. I think a lot of the people on this panel, we want to have an impact, but you sometimes don't see the other end. And for me, the irony is I was thinking of saying, well, is this something I should continue? Because there's never a whole lot of people tuning in. Am I touching people? How many people are hearing this message that I have to say? And literally, just like a Tuesday afternoon, I think it was, he calls me and he says, "Hey, I wanted to tell you, this makes a difference for me." And it helped me find my place and my faith and how I'm connected to God and to you. And he says, "It's just awesome," and wanted to say thanks. And it made all the difference in the world. It's one of those that it's like, I needed to hear it at that moment. And it's like, okay, I made an impact on one person, and who knew where it was going to land. And so it's so powerful because we don't often hear back on things like that. So it's a little snippet.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yes, that's Mike. I'm telling you, you're so right about that. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as an artist as well, I go through really similar things where I'm like releasing music, and because I'm still relatively new, I'm like, is anyone even listening? Is anyone even caring? My podcast just started this year as well. And when I hear feedback like, oh, that really blessed me, it just encourages me to keep going. But I wanted to share a story about a patient that our interaction, I could actually see straight away the difference. So this was at the end of a working day. I was at clinic, and this patient, I think she might have been 3 years old, someone with a chronic illness. And that means she comes quite often. She gets a lot of bloods quite often with needles, and already is getting like traumatic experiences from, the amount of times that she has to come into hospital. And her parents were already saying, I think she's minimizing the amount of pain she's in, because she knows that when she's in pain and she lets us know, we're going to take her in, and she doesn't want that. So this is a patient that we were really trying to think about ways that we could ease, the and things like that. So we had a clinic and she even refused to let us examine her. She's like really feisty, not saying yes to anything, we're not giving her consent for us to feel her tummy and things like that. So we sent her to have some bloods with the nurses. We had the cream on that we called the magic cream. That was meant to be a numbing cream. But even with that, it can still be quite stressful for kids when you hold them in place. And then the nurses tried and were unsuccessful and came to me and said, AB, you have to give this a try. We couldn't get the bloods. So this is someone who was already stressed out, already had some attempts, was already not having a good day. And I had to go in and try to give her the best experience possible. So I started off by trying to check if there were any, the YouTube kids videos that will distract her, and there was no internet, and then I was like, okay, let's try singing. And this is something where everyone around you might be too stressed and you're on your own singing and feeling ridiculous, or you could have people around you who join in the fun. And then it's nice because everyone is singing, and then hopefully the child calms down, So it was one of those things where you took a gamble and hope for the best. So I started singing. And I started singing, the wheels on the bus go round and round. And this girl was screaming away. And I was trying to, get ready to put the needle in. And she was just screaming away. And I finally got in, but there were a lot of bottles to fill. Meaning a long time where we're holding this girl down, just so we can get all the bloods we need. And then as we kept singing the wheels on the bus, the stress you could begin to see reduced, and how loud she was crying slowly went down, because she was looking at us saying, what's up with these people singing, And then I switched songs to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And her mom went, oh my goodness, that's her favorite. I was like, okay, let's keep going. How I wonder what you are. And the cries were getting lower and lower. And then I started to sort of wait for her to see if she'll sing along. Twinkle, twinkle, little. I didn't get a star, but I kept going, and eventually I got a star. How I wonder what you are. And this girl, who started out screaming, started singing before we finished getting all the bloods we need. And the person who came in, really stressful, left the room after getting some stickers. But she left the room literally skipping away. And her mom turned to me with this look of just being grateful on her face. And that just one encounter just goes to show how we can choose, just take a little bit longer, do something extra just to put even just one person at ease, and how that can, really help them.
Yes. First of all, I love stories like that, because you start off with the kindness and start off with a need, really, because no one else could help her. And then it started with your kindness to come, and you created impact through singing. Who would have never knew that Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star was her favorite song unless you were singing it and her mother was like, oh, there you go. I think we got it. So, oh my God. See I love that. See, so ripple effects of kindness goes to the next level. And like you said, giving people that impact in their lives. Anybody else wants to share a story, or a professional or personal? Mrs. Coach. Get in there, lady. I'll do everybody first. There you go.
Okay. So I was searching my memory bank because there have been so many acts of kindness presented in my direction. But one of the things that I was thinking about, it was a moment where I actually found my voice. I was reciting poetry and I was the chairperson over this organization that's kind of an entertainment organization. And I would do these poems all the time. And one night I was inspired in a poem to write about my story. And it's a very traumatic story, as Barbara is aware. And I was fighting with myself that night. We had open mic. And I'm like, oh, I was really wrestling with God. Like, I knew this was the poem that I was supposed to recite, but there was that part of me that was overwhelmed by fear because I'd never shared it publicly. And one of the ladies who was also in leadership over the organization, she said, what are you going to recite tonight? I was like, I don't know. It's between these two. So I got on the stage and my hands were like puddles of sweat, like literally. And this is the moment that I realized a lot about myself and others and how we're all interconnected. When I got behind the mic, I was completely inspired to recite this poem, and it's called It Ain't Over. And I did it, and my voice was shaking. I was so afraid. And it was one of those moments where I would have to be vulnerable and extremely transparent. And I shared the poem, and in my head, I'm trying to get my exit strategy. Like, okay, when I can finish sharing, I need to be able to run and exit stage left. And I finished the poem. I didn't look up, and I'm trying to exit the stage. And I finally have to look up because I have to find my path to the door. And I look up and I see a line of people. First of all, they were clapping. Additionally, there were tears in almost everyone in the room's eyes. And there was a line filled with men and women. And they all were like accosting me. They were not allowing me to leave this room without being embraced. And everyone whispered something in my ear that was amazing. You're amazing. Me too. All the things. But one particular person, it was a guy, and he said, "Thank you so much for sharing that," with tears in his eyes and his vocal cords. "You've given me a permission to share my story." And that was like 10, 12 years ago. I don't know. I think it was about 10, 12 years ago. But more recently, a few years back, I ended up asking this same guy to be a speaker on one of my events. And he agreed. And when I was interviewing him before the event, he shared how that moment literally broke the chains in his life. Now, two things happened in that moment. I think often we think of kindness as, some people don't need our kindness. They're strong. They don't need the little deposit of generosity that we have. They don't need the, oh my gosh, you're making an impact. But sometimes we don't. We're so busy looking at the package that we don't see the need. Everyone has the gift, a measure of kindness that they can give to other people. In that moment, with him sharing, it not only built me up, but it also showed the level of impact that my trauma and me owning it had in other people's lives. So it's that ripple effect. Yes, I went through horrific things, but me opening my mouth, sharing my story through voice, gave someone else the ability and the power to share their story through voice, which would give another person the power and ability to share their voice, and so on. And that's the ripple, right? And if he had not said that, yes, there were a lot of people who said amazing things and said me too. But for some reason, God illuminated his comments to me to increase my level of bravery that I needed to continue to sow into the world. So I think one of the greatest impacts that had is to totally reiterate to me that your voice is always needed if it's a powerful voice, if it's a positive deposit. And we should never measure our level of impact based on how we show up in kindness. Someone needs it, always.
Ooh, okay, wait a minute. Wait.
so good.
Oh,
I love that. That's hilarious.
oh,
That
I'm
was
sitting
funny.
here. I'm just sitting here, just still in like a state of shock because that was so powerful. What you said, everything you said, and I always say, open your mouth. See, I tell people, please, because you don't know. Just like Mike said, and just like Coach Michelle and the other people, when you open yourself up, you don't know who you're going to touch to help, to give them hope, to give them saving their lives, even giving them opportunities. Think about it. If she didn't say something, he wouldn't have heard it, but she did. He heard it. A few years later, guess what? He was on an event with her. She invited him on. I mean, look at all that. I mean, just because she said, you know what, I'm going to take the sweat out of my hands and I'm going to step up and I'm going to speak and I'm going to say what I have to say. Amazing, amazing. So, Nichole, I want to hear from you, lady, because I know you have.
Yeah, no,
Many.
absolutely. You know, it's so interesting because I feel like, again, people ask me what my vice is, and I've gone through so many sessions of coaching and therapy and all the things, and everybody's got their story. But I'll be really real with you. I feel like the ripple of kindness actually starts within us, like being kind to us, being kind and being patient with us, being mindful of the things that we need to do to make sure that our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, if need be, well-being is taken care of. And the reason why is because it starts in your own house, your own head, right? But your own house. So for example, if I wake up in a bad mood and all of a sudden now my partner's in a bad mood because I bit his head off because the coffee wasn't hot enough, whatever, right? Terrible example, but you know what I'm saying. Then he may go out to the neighborhood and be in a bad mood. I'm just sharing that with you because if you're right with you, taking care of you and your well-being, and Coach Michelle will always say this and agree with me, that it starts with you, right? And then all of a sudden, now you have a happy partner and a happy house and a happy neighborhood and a happy community and a happy world is really how that ripple affects. But the act of kindness, if you could be kind to you first, and sometimes it's just the tiniest little things. Sometimes it's just a mindset shift. Instead of saying, hey, I'm heavy, or hey, my hair's frizzy today. It's like, hey, I'm happy I have hair. Let's move on, right? I mean, it's just the things that we say to ourselves and the kindness that we actually are about who we are and why we're who we are. Because listen, here's the thing about a car, and I want to share this with you. You have to remember this. Our rearview mirrors are this big, and that could potentially be our past. My past doesn't define me, and I have a story. But my life is the windshield. There's so many different things that we can see, and it's so much bigger in the windshield. I want all of us to just move forward. Stop living in the past. It doesn't define us. Yes, it was an experience in our life. And yeah, we've made some pivotal moments. But reality is if you look out your windshield and see what you have going forward, there's so many beautiful things. And I know that if we take care of us, we can express and share that ripple of kindness throughout the world. It starts with us in our own household. So clean your house. Let's clean house. Let's get it together. And I just think it's going to be an amazing thing because the reality is we're not promised tomorrow. So I personally lay down every night when I get ready to go to bed and just say, what could I have done differently? And what did I do well? Because reality is my coffee was extremely hot today. And I did kind of bite. And I'm like, I went back and I went, I'm so sorry for doing that. That was just silly. Normally it sits on the nightstand and I rest, but I got up and took a sip and but just the ripple effect of being kind, right? I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. Anyway.
Okay.
Can I jump in here on something Nichole said?
Yes,
wait a
Mike,
minute.
go for it.
Let's do Mike, and then I forgot who else said. I'll do Mike first.
There's two quick things. My daughter's a competitive gymnast, and one of the things that Nichole just said, and I shared this with one of her friends because I was watching her be coached, and this little girl, she's maybe 13. It's a friend of my daughter's, and she's just doing this thing over and over again, doing it over and over again. She keeps trying to do this bar grab, and she keeps messing it up, and she is just abusing herself in her head. You can see it all over her face. And I stopped her. And one of the things Nichole said is we got to be kind to ourselves. And it starts with our self-talk, right? Because I'm watching this little girl go after this, go after this, go after this. And I looked at her and I said, hey, can I share something, coach? I asked the coach's permission first. She says, yeah, absolutely. I said, listen, if your coach said the same things to you to help you move forward as you're saying to yourself right now, you would punch her in the nose. And I said, so you got to stop saying that stuff to yourself and start telling yourself that you can do it. And ultimately it paid off, and the young lady caught the skill that she needed. And sometimes that's all we need, is just that moment to have somebody from the outside perspective say, hey, wake up. That's not, you're not being kind to yourself. The other thing is that you're going through all the people, Barbara, that I find so unique is acts of kindness are not cookie cutter. They're all unique. We all, what may be vulnerable to me, and as we're sitting talking, what may be vulnerable to somebody is exactly the strength that somebody else needs to hear. And so, as we're going through this, everybody has this unique story and unique perspective. You asked a really good question to start and put us on the spot, right? We all pause for a second. But once you start talking about it, it's like, well, let me share this thing. Let me share this thing, because it's so unique and valuable to somebody. And so when we're talking about that ripple effect, it's going to be valuable to someone that needs to hear it. So thanks for
Barbara, may I please chime in for 1 second? Mike just kind of illuminated something in me. I want to remind all of the listeners and all the viewers out there that kindness sometimes will require you to be brave. I say that because I had another situation that I won't go in depth here to share, but in a room full of people, in a world where people are yelling and screaming and, displaying all these negative things in social media, being kind sometimes requires that leader in the room who says, I know everyone is ripping this person to shreds, but I want to come in here and change the atmosphere. When I do speaking engagements, I often share with people, I am not a thermometer. I'm a thermostat. I change environments. I change the temperature. I go in and I create the environment that I want to be a part of, no matter where I go. It doesn't matter if it's a negative environment. By the time I start speaking, it will be positive, because everywhere I show up, kindness and love also shows up. Those are twins within me. So sometimes we have to be the voice that is not the popular opinion, that is coming in, speaking life and pouring life into someone. If everyone else is throwing stones, how strong are you to just throw another strong? I think it takes the strength to embrace a person, to console the person, to speak life and pour life back into them. So kindness isn't also, Mike said, the cookie cutter approach. It's not always this cookie cutter thing. Sometimes it requires you to be the voice that'll take some of the stones that are thrown at someone else.
I was just going to say, she needs another mic drop.
I can't keep up. I
love this.
Awesome. And I just want to jump in and make this comment in reference to what it takes to be kind. And one of the things that I see in my practice as a social worker, and that is sometimes when we're looking at family dynamics, it seems that there's no compassion. There may be a lot of anger or resentment for whatever reason. And as you all know, that whenever you have that kind of dynamic, the chances of expressing kindness are very, very slim. So one of the things that I think is important too is that we do not allow difficulties in interpersonal relationships to cause us just to stop being kind, or to cause us to not trust enough to express kindness.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. I got to bring in, because let me get everybody in here. This is good.
Okay. Can I? Yes, absolutely. You know, what's so interesting is I feel like it's very similar to the basket fruit. Okay. You've got this gorgeous fruit and it's stunning. It has everything. It has citrus, it has grapes, it has melons. It's just stunning. It's gorgeous. It's bright. It's vibrant. And then all of a sudden you reach into that basket and you grab an orange and it's rotten. and you look inside the other fruit and it's rotten too, right? So just like negativity can be contagious, guess what else can be? Ripples of kindness. It can be contagious, right? Because all of a sudden you're like, for example, I was at this beautiful women's networking event this last week. Stunning. And this speaker was on stage and it moved mountains. I mean, the energy that everybody's like, woo! I mean, we were excited, all the things. And I stood up to give an applaud, a standing ovation. That's how energetic and dynamic she was. She leveled everybody up. I stood up and all of a sudden I start clapping, looking around. I'm like, let's go, ladies. And it was what? Contagious, right? Just sometimes it just takes that one person to say something, to be something, to do something about being kind. And I loved it. It was really cool, but it's not just the ripple of kindness. It can be a contagious ripple of kindness, right? Sometimes just doing the right thing starts with bravery. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. Let's go.
Ooh, let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, I want to jump in for a minute, just for a second here, because I don't want to stop this flow, but I want to play a little clip because this will give you some other ideas of being the ripple of kindness. Have everybody been talking about? So we'll be right back. Yes, yes, yes. So we're doing one of them already. We're sharing our stories. We're sharing our thoughts. We're sharing our innermost, things about being kindness, how it leads that impact. So I want to get in. Did anybody else before? I don't want to miss anybody because I know we were in that groove of talking about different things. Is anybody else wanted to add to that other ripple effect that you have, or I can move on real quick?
I just have one other quick thought because everybody shared it and we got all these smiles going around. And someone may say this, but there is so much. Someone asked, and I don't remember who it was, that said, well, how do we start that kindness? Where does it start? One, it starts with, controlling what we put in, like who's in our circle. What are the things that we're allowing to impact our minds and our souls? And two is then what do we put out? Some of the stuff that it starts with is as simple as smile, right? On this panel, we start talking, we start jamming, we start smiling, and everybody all of a sudden is laughing and carrying on. And we're like, yes, it was it Nichole that said, oh, I did the standing ovation. And everybody else starts and it moves. And I would encourage people, like if you're watching this show or if you're on this show, like take the time to make eye contact with people and smile at them. That right there can make an entire difference in somebody's day.
I love that. I'm attracted to smiles. I love it.
I'm watching you, everybody. Eye contact. Oh, I think we love. That's okay. She'll come back. But yeah, so I just want to go to our next, something else to think about. Okay, we talked about the personal, and you gave the thoughts within your life, but let's take it to global. Let's take it to global because I'm saying it's needed. So from a global perspective, how can individuals or a community, act of kindness, the ripple effect, contribute to positive global change or address social issues? I know that's huge, but like what you said in the video, start somewhere, right? Start somewhere, start small. So I want to get your take on that on the global aspect. Let's go to Coach Michelle. She came right back with her hand.
I said in the chat, sorry, my internet is not being kind. I was sitting here like, what's happening? Okay. So I said I wasn't going to share this very recent experience, but I'll share in general terms. I attended a retreat and some things happened. And in your video, Barb, it talked about diversity. And it was an issue that really tackled the lack of diversity in this space, in this particular space. And myself and one of my closest friends was participating, and we were the minority in the space. So it turned out that the leader of the organization, she witnessed some things to happen. I illuminated some other things and really kind of educated her on some things. And she opened the space, which I thought was so courageous of her. She opened the space by leading us in a prompt and gave myself and my friend kind of the floor to educate some people. So again, I talked about in the beginning about the diversity issue within this space. And I shared with the group that if you are noticing, if you are in a space and someone is making racist comments or highly biased or stereotypical statements or comments, empower yourself to stand up. That's an act of kindness. That's why I shared that earlier. And so, it was this really open space. People were listening. No one was trying to fix or teach me how to be Black. They were actually listening. And I shared with them something I'll share here. If you are in a space, I talk about being a thermostat. If you are in a space and you know that something is being said against a group of people, I don't care if it's Black people, white people, whoever the people are, and you know it doesn't feel right in your soul, stand up. Own the space that you are in. Own it. That physical space that you show up in every day. One of the things that I shared with the group, if you hear someone saying things against Black people or other races or whatever, you can stop the person immediately and let them know that that is racially biased, it is culturally insensitive, and it's borderline racist. And if the person bucks against you and, well, I didn't mean it that way, that's fine. But that's racially insensitive, culturally inappropriate, and borderline racist. And you don't have to say anything else. You don't have to be combative. You can keep repeating that. That is an act of kindness, not just for the space, but it can also speak to hearts that are uneducated in certain areas. It can also bring illumination and bring some understanding just on because how often are we in spaces and we feel uncomfortable and we know it's wrong and we know it speaks against our moral compass, but we just don't have the words. We don't have the verbiage. Well, now I've given you 3 things that you can say in those spaces. Stop it, Barbara.
No, you all stop it. I can't. I'm just here listening. Wow. Can you say instructions? Can you say know what to stand up for? Can you just say boldness? I mean, and the list goes on. Thank you, Coach Michelle. See, that's what I'm talking about. And changing, I love when to use that. I'm going to use that. Changing the temperature in the room. That is so important. Anybody else want to add on the global aspect? Because that is hitting, the social everything. Anybody else want to add?
Okay. Yes, I have a comment in reference to our political leaders in the United States and also abroad. Whenever we are voting, we should always look at those candidates whose agenda represents a desire to better humanity, a desire to improve racial relationships, and also a desire to bring peace throughout the world. I think those are very important things. When we vote, we have a lot of power to hopefully put people in office who believe in kindness, who believe in peace.
You have to start that way. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Did I think Nichole? Wait a minute.
Yeah, I was just going to share. Sometimes it's just doing your own homework, right? Doing your own research. I belong to a networking group that's globally, and we have a lady that's from South Africa, Kenya, and I donate to her charity because she in this part of the world, young ladies who menstrual are not allowed to go to school, but they don't have the ability to afford personal hygiene like we do in the States. So what they do is she has a charity where you can donate, and they can actually make them homemade products so the girls can continue their education. It's just the craziest thing where we are just so granted, and we take so things for granted in the US. And so sometimes it's just literally doing your own homework. Where can I find time to donate? Where can I educate myself on global needs? Those are the things. And again, it just starts with you, right? Taking the time to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do this week or this month or this year. It's an opportunity for, again, exactly that contagious ripple of kindness globally. Love it, love it, love it.
Yes.
I was just going to say, off of a couple of things like what Coach Michelle said, one of the things that we run into in environment, or what Nina brought up when it comes to politics, a lot of times when we say, hey, what can we do to impact globally? It seems so big, right? Mm-hmm. It's huge. And so you're like, well, what can I do to impact globally? Well, one, I think, and especially like the people that are here on the panel, whether you're not on the panel, when you're out there watching, the thing to realize is your voice is more impactful and louder than you think. And so it's really important, in my opinion, to have those conversations. When we're talking about race relations, black and white, let's have that conversation. When we're talking about gay, straight, or otherwise, have that conversation with somebody. At the core of it, what's important to remember is it is not my place to judge. I am not the judge. I am coming from a place to try and understand. I may not, we don't have to agree with everything that everybody says or does, right? So long as and Coach Michelle, I think you said something that's so powerful. When you see something that's wrong, like there's a moral compass, and for the most part, okay, this is right and that's wrong. And you know, so many people want to live in the gray area because they're worried about offending somebody. Mm-hmm. No, have the conversation, right? That's our job. Move out of the gray to what is morally right and what is morally wrong. And we all know that at our heart. And somebody may have a little bit different view than you and say, well, hey, this is morally right, and I believe this thing. Okay, well, then take the time not to yell at them or ridicule or condemn. It's to take the time to have the conversation and truly hear. And so that's the thing for me that I think it starts, okay, it still starts with me. In my heart, I'm able to have that conversation and allow it to grow outward. And that's how you make a global impact. So, because so often we'll say, well, how do you make this global impact? And we start talking about presidents and leaders and all of these things. And you think, well, I'm never going to get to whoever it is that you want to represent you politically, because I don't want to take political sides here. We go, well, I'm never going to get to that individual to be able to have an impact on them. No, but you're going to be able to make an impact on your circle, and then your circle will be able to make an impact on your community, and then your community will be able to make an impact on the next community, and so forth. And so it still really starts with us to mm-hmm. Coach Michelle, I think you nailed it. Like, be brave enough to have the conversation. Stand up. Do what's right. We all know what's right. You know, and when somebody's not right, be brave enough to tell them that, hey, that's not cool. So.
Yeah. Okay, can I just make a...
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make a comment. Whenever we're having these conversations, we want to make sure that we're in the right setting, the right environment, so that people will listen and interact in a respectful way. I just wanted to add that. Yes. Being from the South and being reared in the South, you know, I'm real sensitive to things that can go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Sometimes we got to bring a bigger thermostat. That's a bigger environmental change.
Yes.
And that's the part that requires courage, because the more we just sit and we count up the costs, you know, for those of us who are believers, we know what that count up the cost means, right? The more we count up the costs, that yes, that's prudent, that's using wisdom. And also every huge impact that's ever shaken our world or caused justice to prevail, it started with a brave soul. It started with someone who said, I see this. It's easier for me to be quiet. Often kindness is not the easy choice. but it is the one that's going to impact nations long after we're gone.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay, so I want to, oh, did you want to say something, AB?
Yeah. So just coming onto the back of what you've just said there, I wanted to come at it from the point of view of being a musicpreneur, podcaster. Many of us probably have our own platforms, and we probably started out with very little following or a small audience. I'm still in my first year of podcasting, and I can tell you it is not the easiest of jobs, but this is where you have to be brave. This is where you have to recognize that your voice is powerful. It has the potential to go places. We're now virtual. Anywhere, anyone from anywhere in the world can hear our voice, our message, our words. So essentially, being kind is something that we can do very intentionally in our workplaces with what we have in our hands. So I write music, I release music, and I'm like, even if this just blesses a handful of people, that's enough. Sometimes we just have to think that way. We have to think that way and just do what you can with what's in your hands and do it faithfully, because in that is how you'll make a difference.
Love it.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. See, we need 2 hours. Okay. Well, since time is of the essence here for everybody, first of all, thank you all just for the conversation has been like powerful. I'm seeing people putting up comments left and right. Queen B is in the house. Tamara, this is her basically show. She's the birth of the show. I thank her for me being one of the guest hosts. So I got to put that out there because that was kindness from her to me. And I just want to end it with this. Because I do a little game, and some people have been on this where they know my game. It's a 30-second last thoughts. So everybody will get 30 seconds. If you go over 30 seconds, I will be pulling you out from the middle. Okay. But I want, if you can add something to that 30 seconds, because I want to get to the children, the youth, and really, how can we be a lead by example? That was one of the things in the video about lead by example. How can we, as older, whatever age, how can we help them with that ripple of kindness? So if you could add that just a little bit somewhere in your ending, that would be great. And then we'll sign off there. So I'm going to start with Ms. Nichole and go from there.
Okay, here we go. So I feel like one of the ways that we can show kindness to our younger generation is, first and foremost, be kind to you. It starts with you, right? So if you're kind to you and you're in a good mood and you see someone, a young one that's serving you at a restaurant, you can say, thank you, great job. There's so many different ways. I mean, my brain is, I don't have 30 seconds to make this all make sense, but I'm just sharing with you. It's just like, it starts with you and your neighborhood and, your schools and things such as that. Be an example for them by being kind to you. It's so powerful. So just love it, love it, love it. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Oh, okay. Did you see me jump? Okay. Regarding the youth, ask questions. Ask them, how are you? Every young person you encounter, hi, how are you? And then wait for the answer. I think as older people, we're so busy trying to teach the youth that we're talking and not listening. So ask them how they're doing, what they need, how you can help, and then listen. Listening is the greatest act of kindness I think any of us will ever extend to another person.
Wow, I love that. Okay. Nina, you're next.
Yes. Yeah, I like this part. As a mother who is most of the time the primary nurturer, I think it's important to start when kids are toddlers, teaching them how to be kind. Also, when they go to school, teaching them how to solve conflict and not fight. And when they become teenagers, it's important to help them understand the power of peer influence and how you need to set boundaries. And in doing so, you are able to not only be kind to yourself, but you can set limits so that you will encourage other people to be kind to you as well. So I definitely think the home is a place where we learn how to be kind to one another. And if there are issues in the home that are not indicative of kindness, I think those things need to be, addressed by the adults in the home to a point whereas they will not interfere, with the children's concepts of themselves, and also interfere, with their abilities to get along with others and be nice to them.
This is going to be hard to do in 30 seconds because
oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
I just started a project on this and my heart is just full of so much to say, but I'm going to try really hard. I spoke with a teenager recently who was feeling suicidal and took some overdose. And I said, have you spoken to anyone about this suicidal thoughts you've had? She said, no. I said, your mom? Well, I didn't want to worry her. I said, anyone else? No. In church? Definitely not. And she sings in choir in her church. So this is what I'm going to leave with you. Invest the time and build relationships with youth and teenagers around you, because that just broke my heart that she didn't think she could talk to anyone, even in church. What do they see when they look at us that they feel they cannot talk to us? Mm-hmm. So I think take that extra time, intention, really do what you can to build relationships with the youths around us.
I'm not going to do this in 30 seconds either. So I got 3 kids, and I think it starts with impacting them. My wife always reminds my kids when they leave the house, make sure you're kind. She does way better at that than I do. But I've always said, kids learn what they live and they will be what they can see. So you have to lead by example. You have to be out there to be out, because they are always watching you. And so once you can do that, you're kind to yourself, you're able to be kind to other people, you're the example for your kids are going to be the example to their friends, you're going to be the example to their friends. Take opportunities to volunteer in school situations. All of us, like for example, here we're speakers, we have podcasts. Schools look for impactful people all of the time. They look for them all the time, middle schools, elementary schools. Put your name out there and put yourself in a place to volunteer and speak life into the youth at least once a month, once every other month, once a quarter, whatever it is that you can do. And then just know that kids are watching you, teens are watching you, and real recognizes real. They are going to know if what you are feeding them is just a line or if you live it. So it's really important because they're going to be what they can see in you.
Thank you. Wonderful experts. Thank you so much today. Thank you for being kind. The ripple effect that you gave everybody today. My name is Barbara J. Beckley. I am the guest host of Let's Talk Fabulous. We're on every Sunday. And if just take that one, just to say hello is an act in a ripple effect to kindness. Talk to y'all later. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Together, we are stronger than sadness. Together, we are stronger than cancer. Together, we are stronger. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts. Human hope, hearts, hugs, love, love, love. Human hope, hearts, hugs, love, love, love. Human hope, hearts, hugs, love, love, love. Human hope, hearts, hugs, love. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are one to change the world with our hearts. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are one to change the world with our hearts. We are the one to change the world with our hearts.